Ladies and gentlemen, you know that feeling right before you fall asleep. When the day's noise finally stops and all that's left is your own mind. That quiet space between being awake and being asleep, it's the most important moment of your entire day, and most of us are wasting it. We just close our eyes and hope for the best, only to wake up feeling just as tired and anxious as when we went to bed. What if I told you there's a simple practice, something that takes less than 2 minutes that can completely change how you sleep, how you feel, and even how you face the next day? And no, it's not some complex meditation or a fancy app. It's something far more powerful. I want to talk about what happens in those last few moments before sleep. Your brain, whether you realize it or not, is incredibly open. It's taking in everything from the day and getting ready to process it all night long. If the last thing you feed it is stress or worry or scrolling through bad news on your phone, that's what it's going to work on all night. It's like giving a chef rotten ingredients and expecting a gourmet meal. It's just not going to happen. You'll wake up with a mind that's already cluttered, already tired, already behind. But if you can learn to use those last 60 seconds consciously, you can set the stage for not just a night of deep, peaceful sleep, but for a tomorrow that feels lighter and more manageable. This isn't about religion. This is about using an ancient understanding of the mind to protect your peace and create a foundation of calm. So let's break down exactly how to do this. The last thought you think about it for a second. Really think what is the very last thing you do before you let sleep take over. For so many people, it's this automatic, almost robotic motion. The hand reaches out in the dark. The screen lights up and suddenly you're not in your quiet room anymore. You're plunged back into the world. You're checking an email one last time as if the fate of the universe depends on you seeing it at 11:37 p.m. You're scrolling through a feed, seeing highlights of other people's lives, news of problems you can't solve, images that stir up envy or anxiety. Or maybe you're watching a video, something fast-paced and loud, filling your mind with noise right up to the very last second. You have to understand what this is. This isn't just a bad habit. This is like taking a cup of pure undiluted chaos and anxiety and pouring it directly into your mind, right at the moment it is most open, most vulnerable, most ready to receive instruction. Your brain is preparing for its most important work, processing the day, repairing the body, restoring the spirit, and you're giving it garbage to work with. You're giving a master chef rotten ingredients and expecting a gourmet meal. It will never ever happen. The other common path is just lying there in the silence. That silence becomes a vacuum that your mind feels compelled to fill. And what does it fill it with? Not peace, not calm. It goes straight for the jowl. It replays that awkward thing you said 5 years ago. It amplifies a small comment from a coworker into a huge drama. It starts listing every single bill, every responsibility, every problem that you don't have an immediate answer for. It's like a record player gets stuck on a terrible song and it just loops and loops and loops, each time getting a little louder, a little more persistent until your heart is racing and you're feeling more awake and stressed than you did all day. This is the absolute opposite of what you need. It's a betrayal of your own peace. Your mind in this state is like a child. It doesn't need to be left alone with its fears. It needs guidance. It needs a clear, firm, loving signal from you. It needs to hear that the day is over, the work is done, the shop is closed, the tools are down. There is nothing more that can be accomplished by worrying about it in the dark. It needs to be told in no uncertain terms that it is safe to rest, that the doors are locked, the guards are posted, and for the next several hours, the only job is recovery. Without that signal, the mind just assumes the work continues. It assumes that because you're still actively thinking about these problems, they must still be active, so it grinds away. It churns. It tries to solve equations at midnight with a tired brain, and it always fails, leaving you exhausted by the effort. This is why that last thought is so critically important. It is not a small thing. It is everything. It is the filter through which your entire night will be processed. It is the lens that your subconscious will use to view everything. If the last thing you feed it is fear, your dreams will be tinted with fear, your rest will be shallow because a part of you is still on guard. If the last thing you feed it is anxiety, your body will be flooded with cortisol as you sleep, undermine the very restoration you are seeking. You wake up tired because you literally ran a marathon in your mind all night long. But if you can understand this power, if you can see that you hold the key to this moment, everything changes. You realize you are not a passenger in this process. You are the director. You are the one who gets to call cut on the day's filming. You are the one who gets to say that's a rep. The mind is waiting for your instruction. It is craving your leadership. It wants you to tell it what to do when you leave it on its own. It defaults to its oldest, most primal patterns, which are usually fear-based. It's your job to override that default setting to consciously choose the final input. This isn't about positive thinking in a fluffy way. This is about practical mental hygiene. It's about brushing the mental plaque of your teeth before bed so you don't get cavities in your soul. It's about cleaning the wounds of the day so they can heal properly overnight instead of getting infected with bitterness and stress. The recognition of this power is the first and most fundamental step before you can implement any practice. You must have the revelation that the moment before sleep is not a passive, empty space. It is a fertile ground. It is a garden, and you get to choose what seeds you plant in it right before you leave it for the night. Will you plant weeds of worry and regret? Or will you plant seeds of peace and release? The quality of your harvest tomorrow depends entirely on the choice you make in that moment tonight. This understanding is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, any technique is just words. With it, even a single thought can become a powerful tool for transformation. It all starts with taking ownership of that last quiet, powerful moment between the day and the dream. It's not a wish, it's a release. There's a common misunderstanding that surrounds this idea. A mistake that keeps people stuck and prevents them from tapping into the real power available to them. People hear a word and they immediately attach all their old baggage to it. They hear prayer and they think it means getting on your knees and pleading with some distant external force. For favors, they think it's a transaction, a negotiation. If I am good, if I say the right words, then please give me this thing I want. Make tomorrow easier. Make that person be nicer. Make my bank account fuller. This approach comes from a place of lack, from a feeling of being small and powerless in a big scary world. And because it comes from that place, it can never truly bring peace. It reinforces the very anxiety it's trying to overcome. It keeps you in a state of wanting, of waiting for external permission to be okay. What we are talking about here is something entirely different. This is not about asking for a better tomorrow. This is about closing the book on today. It is an internal act, not an external request. It is about the things you are carrying inside your own mind and your own body. The tension in your shoulders, the knot in your stomach, the relentless loop of thoughts in your head. This practice is about consciously and deliberately taking all of that accumulated weight and letting it go. It is an act of profound surrender, but not a surrender to an enemy, a surrender to truth. You are surrendering to the truth that this day is done. It is finished. The clock has ticked its last tick. The sun has set. What has been done, and you cannot go back and change a single moment of it. To lie in bed replaying it, arguing with, wishing it were different is the definition of insanity. It is like trying to argue with a shadow. You cannot win. The only thing you accomplish is exhausting yourself. Holding on to the day through the night is an act of self-harm. It is choosing to continue carrying a burden long after you have the right to set it down. Imagine you've been hiking all day with a heavy backpack. It's dug into your shoulders. Your back aches. Your legs are tired. You finally arrive at your camp for the night. What is the very first thing you do? You take the pack off, you unstrap it and set it on the ground beside you. You would never ever consider crawling into your tent and trying to sleep with that heavy pack still strapped to your back. The very idea is absurd. It would be uncomfortable. It would prevent rest. It would cause you pain. And yet, this is exactly what you do with your mind every single night. You crawl into bed with the mental backpack still on. It's stuffed with every difficult conversation, every mistake, every worry, every ounce of stress from the last 16 hours, and you try to sleep with all of that still strapped to you. This practice is the simple physical act of unstrapping that mental backpack. You look at it, you acknowledge that it's heavy, you acknowledge that you carried it all day, and then, with intention, you take it off. You set it down on the floor beside your bed. It will still be there in the morning. If you need to pick it up again tomorrow, you can. But for now, for these precious hours of night, you are free from its weight. You are giving yourself permission to rest. This is the core of the release. It is a declaration of freedom from the past. You are saying to yourself, I release this day. I release all of its events. I release my attachment to how I wanted it to go. I release my anger over what happened. I release my disappointment. I release my need to control it anymore. It is over. I am setting it down. This is not condoning bad behavior or ignoring real problems. Titles. It is simply recognizing that the time for working on those problems is over. The time for rest has begun. By releasing the day, you are making a clear distinction between the two. You are drawing a boundary around your rest and protecting it from the invasion of the day's trouble. This act of release is an affirmation of your own power. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are not powerless against the churning of your mind. You are the one who decides what you will hold on to and what you will let go of. It is a muscle that you strengthen with practice. The first time you try it, it might feel like you're just saying words, but you must persist. You must speak the words until the feeling follows. You command your mind to let go, and eventually it learns to obey. You are the master of your inner world, and this is you giving a clear order. Stand down. The battle is over for today. This release creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. When you forcefully eject the stress and the worry, you create an empty space, and into that space peace can naturally flow. Calm can naturally enter. It is not something you have to fight for. It is what remains when you finally stop fighting. It is the default setting of your soul. When you clear away the day, this is why it is not a wish. You are not wishing for peace to come from somewhere else. You are actively creating the conditions for the peace that is already within you to reveal itself. You are scraping off the mud to reveal the diamond that was always there. It is the most practical thing you can do. It is mental hygiene. It is spiritual cleanliness. It is setting your own inner house in order before you retire for the night, ensuring that you sleep in a clean, tidy, peaceful home, not a cluttered, chaotic war zone. The three-part structure. The beauty of this entire practice lies in its simplicity. It doesn't demand hours of your time. It doesn't require you to learn complex mantras or assume uncomfortable positions. The most powerful tools are often the simplest because they are the ones you will actually, especially when you are tired, worn down, and at the end of your rope, when your mind is foggy and your body is begging for sleep, you need something clear, direct, and easy to remember. This is not a complicated ritual. It is a simple three-step mental shift. It is a conscious movement of your inner world from a state of chaos to a state of order. Think of it as a sequence, a gentle closing ceremony for your day. The first part is about turning your gaze towards something good. It is the act of gratitude. Before you can effectively let go of the bad, you must first acknowledge that good exists. You must find one single thing, no matter how small it seems, and focus your attention on it. This isn't about pretending the bad things didn't happen. It is about asserting that they were not the only things that happened. It is a deliberate act of shifting your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what went wrong to what in some small way went right. This initial step is crucial because it begins to change the chemistry of your thinking. It moves you from a mindset of lack and scarcity to one of abundance and appreciation. It tells your subconscious mind, which is listening so intently at this time, that the world is not entirely a hostile place, that there are points of light, and you have the power to find them. Immediately following this shift, you move to the second part, which is release. This is the active work of letting go. Having anchored yourself with the moment of goodness, you now have the stability to look at the weight you've been carrying and consciously decide to set it down. You speak to your own mind with authority and clarity. You declare that the day is over. Its account is closed. All transactions are finished. What was done is done. What was left undone will have to wait for a new day with new energy. This is where you offer forgiveness to yourself for your stumbles and shortcomings and to others for theirs. You are not condoning hurtful actions. You are simply refusing to continue carrying the poison of resentment within your own soul through the night. You are choosing your own peace over the prolonged engagement with a battle that is already over. You are unclenching your mental fist and allowing the sand of the day to simply fall through your fingers. This act of release is a proclamation of freedom. You are announcing to every cell in your body that the work is done. The shift is over and it is now safe to power. Then you move into the third and final part, which is protection. This is not a prayer of fear where you beg to be saved from nightmares or bad things. That kind of prayer only reinforces the idea that you are vulnerable and under threat. Instead, this is a prayer of power and intention. It is a confident declaration of the environment you wish to create for your rest. You are not asking for peace to come from somewhere else. You are commanding the peace that is within you to rise up and establish its dominion over your mind and heart for the duration of the night. You are drawing a circle of light around yourself. Not to keep darkness out, but to affirm the brilliance of the light that is already within you. You are stating with absolute certainty that your rest will be deep, that your dreams will be sweet, and that your being will be restored. You are programming your subconscious with the instruction to maintain this state of grace and safety until morning. This three-part structure, gratitude, release, protection, is a complete cycle. It allows you to honor the day that has passed, free yourself from its burdens, and consciously design the conditions for your restoration. It takes less than a minute, but its impact resonates through the entire night. It is a simple formula for reclaiming your power at a time when you feel most vulnerable. It is the ultimate act of self-governance, a way of telling yourself that no matter what the day brought, you end it on your own terms. You are not a passive recipient of whatever thoughts drift into your head. You are the active architect of your final waking moments. This structure provides a framework so you don't have to figure it out anew each night. In your exhaustion, you can simply lean into this proven sequence, this reliable path that always leads you home to yourself, to a place of quiet and calm. It is the gentle, firm hand that guides you across the bridge from the noise of the day to the silence of the night. Gratitude, the anchor. Now, let's dwell for a moment on that very first step because it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. It is the anchor. The concept of gratitude can sometimes feel like a cliché, something you're supposed to do because it's polite or spiritually correct. But when practiced correctly, especially in the vulnerable space right before sleep, it is one of the most transformative and powerful forces at your disposal. Its power is not diminished by the simplicity of the act. In fact, that is the source of its power. The instruction is to find one thing, just one, not a list of 10 things, not a grand sweeping statement about your wonderful life. On a truly difficult day, that can feel like a lie, and your soul will reject it. The magic is in the specificity and the authenticity of that one small thing. It could be the way the warm water felt in the shower, the way your pet looked at you, the fact that you had a cool glass of water when you were thirsty, the taste of one bite of food that was particularly good. You must search for it, like a diver searching for a single pearl in the ocean. On a good day, the pearls are everywhere, easy to find. On a bad day, you might have to dive deep into the murky water. But I promise you, the pearl is always there. The act of searching for it is in itself the beginning of the healing. You are training your mind to scan for good. You are building a new neural pathway that automatically asks, where is the good? Instead of the old pathway that screams, look at all this bad stuff. This is not naive optimism. This is strategic mental training. It is the practice of strengthening your mind's ability to find resources and points of safety. No matter the environment, by doing this right before sleep, you are doing something profoundly intelligent. You are ending your day on a yes. You are giving your subconscious mind, which is about to work all night long, a positive data point to work with. You are essentially feeding it the highest quality fuel. If you feed it anxiety and regret, it will churn on anxiety and regret all night. If you feed it one genuine heartfelt moment of appreciation, it will begin to churn on that. It will start to organize your memories, your emotions, and your energy around that small point of light. Think of your mind as a vast dark sky at night. The worries and stresses are like dark clouds. The act of gratitude is you focusing your attention on the one star that is shining through the cloud cover. You focus on it so intently that your eyes adjust, and soon that one star becomes bright. It becomes a point of orientation. You are no longer lost in the formless dark. You have a fixed point to navigate by. That is your anchor. No matter how stormy the seas of your day were, no matter how much the ship of your mind was tossed around, this one small point of gratitude, allows you to drop anchor and finally stop drifting. It holds you steady in the present moment and prevents you from being dragged back into the stormy past of the day you just lived. It grounds you in a simple, undeniable truth that even on the worst day, not everything was bad. There was a moment of relief, a moment of comfort, a moment of connection. However brief that moment is real, it happened. And by choosing to end your day by focusing on that moment, you are voting for what is real and good over what is painful and difficult. You are casting your vote for life. This practice done night after night begins to rewire your entire perception. You will find yourself during the day unconsciously noticing small good things and mentally tucking them away, knowing that they will be your anchor later. You begin to collect pearls throughout the day so that when night falls, you have a handful of them. This doesn't mean you ignore problems or pretend pain doesn't exist. It means you refuse to allow problems and pain to have the final word at the end of your day. You get the last say and you say thank you. Thank you for this blanket. Thank you for that memory that made me smile. That is enough. That feeling of sincere thanks. However small its object is the anchor that holds you safe and steady through the night. Release, dropping the rock. This is the moment of active choice. The point where you move from simply thinking to actually doing. The first part, gratitude, was about finding your footing, about locating a solid place to stand. The second part is about using that solid ground to finally put down the weight you've been carrying. It is the practice of release. And it is exactly that, a practice. It is not something that happens automatically. You must choose it. You must command it. Imagine as clearly as you can that you are holding a heavy rough rock in your hand. Your arm is extended and the weight of it is pulling on your shoulder, straining your muscles, making your entire body feel tired and off balance. This rock is not part of you. It is something you picked up during the day and have not yet set down. It is the rock of a harsh word someone said to you. It is the rock of a mistake you made. It is the rock of a worry about a future that hasn't happened yet. You have been holding this rock for hours and your body is screaming at you to let it go, but for some reason you cling to it. You think that by holding it you are somehow solving the problem or honoring the difficulty, but you are not. You're only exhausting yourself. The act of release is the simple physical, mental, and spiritual decision to open your hand, to allow your fingers to uncurl, to let the rock fall to the ground. You watch it fall and you feel the immediate relief in your arm as the weight vanishes, the tension in your shoulder releases. Your body can finally stand straight again. This is not an act of denial. You are not pretending the rock never existed. You see it there on the ground. You acknowledge its weight and its reality, but you also acknowledge a greater truth. You do not have to hold it anymore. Your job in this moment is not to solve the problem that the rock represents. Your only job is to rest. So you consciously go through the events of the day and you identify the rocks you are still clutching. Did someone speak to you in anger? That is a rock. You open your hand and let it go. You release the need to replay the conversation, to craft the perfect comeback, to nurse the hurt feeling. You declare that the incident is over. Its energy stops here tonight. It will not be allowed to bleed into your peace. Did you fail to meet your own expectations? That is another rock, often a heavier one. You release the shame attached to that failure. You forgive yourself for being human, for stumbling, for not knowing everything. You acknowledge the lesson if there is one. And then you let the heavy weight of self-judgment fall away. You understand that punishing yourself all night long does not change the past. It only ruins the present moment of rest and weakens you for the future. Are you anxious about tomorrow that is a rock made of phantom material? A weight from a future that does not yet exist. You release the need to control what hasn't happened. You affirm that tomorrow will have its own strength and its own solutions, and you will meet it when it arrives, not before. You say to yourself with clarity and authority, this is not mine to carry right now. My only task is to rest and restore. You are giving yourself official permission to clock out. You are hanging up the uniform of your daily struggles and closing the door until morning. You are placing a sign on the door of your mind that says close for business. No more processing, no more worrying, no more planning. The work is done. At first, this might feel like you are just saying words into the darkness. That's okay. You must persist. You speak the words of release until your mind begins to obey the command. You are the boss of your inner world, and you are giving a direct order to stand down. The battle is over. This is the tool you carry with you for the rest of your life. It costs nothing. It requires no special training, no expensive equipment, no elaborate ritual. It takes almost no time at all. And yet, its compound effect is nothing short of extraordinary. A fortune of inner peace, night after night, building like interest in a savings account you never stop adding to. Most people underestimate the power of this choice because it seems so small, so simple. But that's exactly why it works. It isn't about force. It's about consistency. It's about the quiet confidence that no matter how loud, messy, or unpredictable your day has been, you have a way to end it well. Think about how most people approach the end of their day. They collapse into bed carrying the entire weight of the day with them. Every stress, every regret, every unfinished task, every harsh word, every anxious thought about tomorrow. They hope that sleep will somehow erase it all, as if unconsciousness alone could do the work of healing. But hope is passive. This is different. This is about actively, consciously, intentionally reclaiming yourself before the day closes. It's about drawing a line and saying, this day is done. Whatever happened, happened. But it does not own me. When you choose to do this night after night, something powerful begins to happen. Peace stops being a random visitor that sometimes appears and sometimes doesn't. It becomes the very currency of your soul, steady, reliable, always growing. Each night adds another layer. The small act of closing your eyes with intention, of handing over the chaos instead of clinging to it, begins to rewire how you experience your life. You wake lighter, you wake clearer, you wake less afraid. It doesn't take hours of meditation or complicated routine. It takes a few seconds of presence. Maybe it's a simple breath where you release the day. Maybe it's a sentence you whisper in your mind. I choose peace. I let it all go. Tomorrow is new. That's it. That's the investment. Interest upon interest, night after night, until peace is no longer something you chase, it's something you carry. Because here's the truth, inner peace is not a gift life randomly hands you, it's a practice, it's a must. It's built in tiny consistent choices that seem almost insignificant at the moment, but accumulate into something unshakable. So tonight, before you close your eyes, don't just disappear into sleep like someone escaping. Don't collapse into it like a victim of your day. Make the choice, even if it's only a whisper, even if it's only for a moment. Choose to end your day with peace on purpose and watch what that choice builds over a lifetime.